Good evening. Sorry. So this is an English session. First of all, let me apologize. You might be finding that my sound is a bit weird because I'm actually going for an intense detox and also fasting. So that is actually a sign that I'm actually purging out the toxin from my body, especially through my throat. So therefore, just bear with me, my sound. In the event, if you do have challenges to listen to what I'm saying, please do not hesitate to raise up the hand in the icon, or you can just open up the mic and alert me that I need to actually go and what they call this meeting. Okay, the recording will be made available. You'll be made available in the YouTube. You can actually download it. You don't have to do the recording. Okay, so what I do is actually just allow me to introduce myself. My name is SK Tan. I'm actually representing the P Tonic to be able to actually share as much as possible about the knowledge on what P Tonic is all about. Of course, the key is actually from education point of view, we like to promote the probiotics for the microbiome balance. So the key is to be able to understand that by 2007, okay, year 2007, a lot of scientists have realized that why there's a world global warming, why our food are deteriorating, why they're getting more and more people are getting sicker and sicker, purely because we are actually having some challenges with the Mother Earth. And one of the issues is actually about the soil, is about the soil management. So there's a two perspective, microbiome for the soil and microbiome for the health. It's just in time that P Tonic is actually the resolution to be able to help you to become healthy. Okay, so just before I begin, allow me to share my PowerPoint so that I can give you some, enlighten you with some information pertaining to the to this P Tonic. Okay, first of all, let me begin. Okay, very much appreciated that everybody make an effort, and this is the first time in our 31st session, okay, our edition. We have been giving discussion or sharing about P Tonic since the last 30 sessions, and this will be the 31st that we actually conduct in English. So I welcome all the English audience, English speaking audiences to be able to participate into this P Tonic. I'll do my level best to be able to elaborate as much as I can within the 30 minutes. But in the event you do have doubts, you have challenges, you can actually voice out during the Q&A because this session starts from 8:30 until 10 o'clock. Okay. Now, let's start with the P Tonic. What is P Tonic? Okay, P Tonic is basically a natural product with a lot of essence, with a lot of P element inside, which I will elaborate along the way. But prior to that, let me explain to you what is really wrong with the world. But of course, we start with Malaysia, and we're actually going to share with you the top 5 cancer affecting the Malaysians. Okay, top 5. Breast cancer, colorectal, that means actually called the colon cancer, lung cancer, cervical, and there's actually a NASA, it's a different kind of what they call this cancer. It's actually, the source comes from the National Cancer Society Malaysia. So of course, if you look at the common one is always on the breast applicable for the ladies, but colon is applicable for the man and the woman. In the future, I will do further elaboration as I go along with these slides in English sessions, because it was further elaborated during the Chinese sessions. So that is actually the second highest. That actually implies that there's something wrong with our food and our diet, okay, or even to come to the way that we drink our liquid. But why is it so important that we were to touch on to the P Tonic? Duly because we have to first of all understand the importance of colon since 2007. When we talk about microbiome balance, there's a lot of scientists that have been researching. Then they start discover that we don't just have one big brain in my skull. We actually have a second brain, which actually implying onto the colon, the colon. So what if you want to be healthy? Okay, the source of good health, we have to understand. You want to be healthy, you have to be free from diseases. Okay, this is. So how do we be able to go about it? We have to really focus a lot onto the microbiome. Okay, first of all, just allow me to do some disabling. Okay, so if you want to be healthy, there is a one big challenge that we need to be able to know how to take care of our colon. Okay, so in order to be able to do that, we have to must have a clear understanding that in our colon, we actually have 70%, okay, body immune system actually lie into our intestinal gut. Okay, it is our second brain that determines the strength of our body immune system. And if we were to discover 90%, 95% of the diseases, that means there's a name applied to it, be it you name it like the chronic diseases, or you talk about the high cholesterol, high sugar content like diabetic and so forth, 90% of all these diseases actually related to our intestinal gut and the colon. So in order to find out more, we have to actually start to do a lot more research. It'll be important that you actually make an effort to go and study about some of the books that publish inside in actually over the internet, or it's actually available at the bookstores. Now, there's a series of books that actually are collected, and here you will see that there actually are scientists or even the health enthusiasts or health advocates. They start promoting about the importance of being healthy is to take care of our stomach. But they don't term it as a stomach. They term it as the gut system, or they call it the microbiome balance. So if you want to have a microbiome balance, you need to be able to do more research. Now, among all the books here, right, you see it's all about microbiome solution, how to take care of our microbiome with the probiotics. Then how do you actually take care of your guts, to be healthy in order to take a lot of fermented food, enzyme, probiotics, prebiotics, and more. But most important, if you look at the lower right, there is actually a molecular biology and translation science. It's all about how do you really take care. It's a very thick book, and this book actually costs about more than $300 US dollar, $300 US dollar. Okay, so it is mandatory that we have to make some effort to understand why is it so important that we have to take probiotics. Okay, like I said, I'm making generic for the now. So they already concluded enhancing the gut health is equivalent to having an ultimate microbial balance. Okay, we call it microbiome balance. Now, to even dig further, there is actually some discovery whereby by some authority, okay, like Michael, my Emerald, okay, even like Marsha, they actually discovered that actually our colon is actually our second brain, our human second brain. Why? They discovered that they are now having discovered that immune system in terms of the power of the immune system come from our what they call this stomach and the colon, and also they also discover majority of the hormones like serotonin also are released by our gut system. So the internal microbiome are mostly actually dependent onto the what they call this intestinal colon. Now, more important, I also want you to take note. If there's a desire that for somebody, okay, it can be kids, it can be adult, it can be even be the youth, or even by the senior, whereby they're addicted to the sugar. Scientists discover that the addiction of the sugar is because there are certain bad bacteria coexisted inside the internal colon, and where therefore they'll send a signal to the brain to remind the brain to always look for the food with high content of sugar. Okay, irregardless of whether they are bubble tea or probably with the cake or biscuit that actually high with sugar content. So this is actually their discovery. So therefore, it is important that we have to start realizing that we really have to take care of our colon. And the colon is actually having this second brain concept. It was actually initiated by Michael Gershon. Michael Gershon actually did a discovery whereby he clearly demonstrated the gut system, the human gut, has a brain of its own. And the remarkable scientific breakthrough is actually when we talk about believe in your gut, my gut instinct, despite it was actually named to be like a term, but it was actually being discovered by the scientists, whereby it's really a function of the second brain. Just I already use a very simple example as like, if you're addicted to sugar, it is because of the gut bacteria. They can be the bad one, they can be the good one, but they have the desire to have the thrill for having sugar. They will send a signal to the brain, and these are instructing the brain to be able to collect or eat or consume a lot of food that with high content of sugar. So here, how do we resolve it? So like I said, the key focus is on P Tonic. P Tonic is actually proven to be effective as a natural food drink, okay, for the colon, even for the whole health. Why? Because fundamentally, it is not just a typical microbiome that you probiotics that you heard from the market. It actually comes with a lot of beneficial live microorganism. Okay, it actually started from Japan. Okay, through the Dr. Tiro Higa. Dr. Tiro Higa first actually discovered this because he wanted to help to salvage the Mother Earth by taking care of the soil. Because from the soil, then we have actually with the plantation or how to be able to harvest the crops with high efficacy. Now, here we just want to name P Tonic to be properly announced. It's actually called P Tonic. Okay, despite it looks like it's a PT Nick and so forth, but it was actually a logo. So therefore, if people were to approach you and want to explain to you what P Tonic is all about, or they want to seek for your explanation, you just explain to them P Tonic is actually called P Tonic. And why tonic? Because it comprises majority of the essence. Essence is important because what we want to fulfill is the desire or the needs for the body to appreciate, for them to be able to what you call do detoxification, rejuvenation, help maintain our health condition and so forth. But why P? Because P is also indicate that P tonic is not just having all the necessary essence, it actually is a prebiotic. Prebiotic is actually mandatory for the bacteria to be able to culture in our body, especially in our gut system, because we need them to be able to produce some of the important byproduct, which actually referring to the postbiotic. Now, prebiotic, what does prebiotic means? Prebiotic means actually it's a food that appreciated by the good bacteria for them to multiply exponentially. But unfortunately, later when I explain, you will see that why people are getting weaker and weaker, why people are getting sicker and sicker, purely because they are having less good bacteria versus the bad bacteria. Now, our P tonic are very unique. It can also be named as psychobiotic. Now, what does the psychobiotic mean? There are some bacteria that are able to actually help to be able to increase the hormone balance and also able to release some of the hormonal juices. We call the serotonin. It can be serotonin, it can be melatonin. So these are mandatory for the body to be able to regulate our body condition, especially for the sleeping quality. Now, example, why there are a lot of people having challenge to sleep? Simply because there's one of the bad bacteria that release a toxin called LPS. Okay, excuse me, LPS, and this actually will affect our body because it's actually deteriorating the release of the hormone and affecting our sleeping quality. Now, why call postbiotic? Because when this probiotic, prebiotic, and the psychobiotic, they coexist in the colon of our system, in our human body, they were able to leverage by do a lot of repurposing, recycling, and even see anything that can be reusable, they will take into useful product. Especially if you really understand probiotics, the purpose of probiotic coexist in our body is to produce some of the vitamins, like vitamin B, B complex. It can be B1, B2, B6, and B12. And subsequently, if you understand vitamin K, it is very common we like to take supplement. But do you know that if you want to be able to produce vitamin K, all you need to do is just take a lot of good probiotic. For them to be able to produce vitamin K directly from the bacteria, this good bacteria. And it's mandatory that we must know K is very important. Vitamin K is very important because if you want to have a good quality of the bone, okay, when this K2, we call it K2, is blended with vitamin D, they are able to produce high quality of the blood, okay, production through the bone marrow from the bone. Then it's important that we also take note, why it is so important to take probiotic nowadays? Because ultimately, we do not want to dependent just by taking too many good bacteria alone. Also good food. For example, you want to eat a lot of salad, you want to eat a lot of vegetable. Because the reason why we eat a lot of vegetable, because we are dependent on their antioxidant. But once you consume good probiotic inside our stomach or in our body system, by right, okay, a healthy gut system with a microbiome balance is supposed to produce 12 liter to 15 liter of the hydrogen. And this hydrogen is not a typical hydrogen we know. It is known as we call H2, and it's actually named as long-term called molecular hydrogen. It's supposed to produce by our body naturally. That's why if you were able to produce hydrogen, 12 liter to 15 liter daily, you do not have to worry about a lot of attack from the free radicals. Free radical is actually like a garbage or toxin that produced inside our body. It can be neutralized, it can be eliminated. And ultimately, when we want to break down our food, be it carbohydrate, protein, or even you talk about mineral or trace mineral, we need to have enzyme. And you are dependent on the probiotics to be able to achieve that, rather than you have to figure out where to find food or where to find a product to take a lot of enzyme drink. Of course, you can produce an enzyme drink, but please note, probiotic as a friendly bacteria, they're different from enzyme. Okay, so please note P tonic as named as P tonic, duly because we want to make everybody aware that it is an essence. It comes with the 4 different P: probiotic, prebiotic, psychobiotic, and postbiotic. And this is actually derived to achieve what I call it the 5P, the 5th P, called perfect. Okay, it is perfectly able to help a lot of people to sustain health. Okay, And people who are really sick, you can talk about regeneration. If people who are healthy just want to do maintenance, you're actually achieving what they call a sustainable health. Okay. Next, I want to let everybody understand how it works, the P Tonic. P Tonic has a lot of active ingredient, but most importantly, it comprises a lot of live microorganisms. And these microorganisms, of course, they have different roles. They do detoxification, they do repairing, they do rejuvenation to the internal guts and our organ cell. Okay, that's basically what it does. So if you want to be healthy, it is mandatory that we need to understand our body needs a lot of probiotics. And how much more, I'll share with you in a short while. To strengthen the body defense mechanism, okay, you have to create a stronger immune system. It's basically just to protect ourselves from the invasion, from the pathogen. When we call diseases, right, you have to understand the key word to be able to cause the disease is because we actually producing a lot of free radical within our body. And the way that we consume our food are helping us to is massively produce a lot of free radical. And with the existence of the probiotics, be it you take other probiotics or P Tonic, then you will be able to reduce, okay, the invasion from the P Tonic or the production of the free radicals. I'm referring to the free radicals as a toxin. Now, how does it really work? Then please understand, you must get the right concept. We need our beneficial bacteria to be alive, and then they have to be helpful. But in the real world, the bacteria world is the same like human being. There are three different types of bacteria. One is called beneficial bacteria or the good bacteria, to make it simple for your understanding. The second one will be called bad bacteria. And the remaining will become the opportunistic bacteria. I call their the follower bacteria. Now, imagine why people are sick. If your bad bacteria is outnumber the good bacteria, therefore, the follower bacteria or the opportunistic bacteria, they have no thoughts. They only follow the majority. So what they'll do is actually they will just follow the bad bacteria and turn back and start to actually it's like deteriorating the body health. Okay. Likewise, if you were to actually keep on consuming good bacteria, especially these are the beneficial bacteria or good bacteria which are alive, they are alive and they exist, and you outnumber the bad bacteria, what will happen actually? These follow bacteria will tend to follow the majority and they turn good and they keep regenerating a lot of antioxidant. They will help to restore the body health at the optimal level. So I need you to understand here, I'm not mentioning the P Tonic. I'm mentioning this is how the bacteria works in the world and also in the soil. The same goes to our body. You just have to constantly remind yourself, you want to be healthy, you have to make sure your good bacteria count, the number count, have to be outnumber the bad bacteria. Then the opportunistic and the follower bacteria will tend to be good. Now, on the screen, you can see that what we need to do, you want to be healthy. You want to be able to reach at the optimal level. You just have to make sure there are only 20% of the good bacteria. Outnumber the 10% of bad bacteria, then the remaining 70% of the follower bacteria will just be a good bacteria and help to restore our body health, okay, at the optimal level. But again, why we have to keep on emphasizing, there's another book by Alana, Colin, okay, they have discovered, and this is actually a true facts and proven by all the scientists. If you really understand our body, okay, our body comes with trillions of cells, okay, but then they discover just in the internal colon alone, live with the microorganism, there are more than 100 trillion. And if you look at the ratio, if you would really understand our human cell, we only make up by 10%, but remain of the 90% is a microbes. And this is a key to hold to our health and happiness. I mean, if you're healthy, of course, you'll be happy. If you were to actually unhealthy, then you feel misery. Okay. So just want you to take note, the second key point, actually, we are made up by 10% human cell, and remaining of the 90% inside our body are made up by the microbes. Of course, like I say, we look forward that these microbes are actually good microbes. Okay. And how do you accomplish that? Is by following this following. Make sure that our good bacteria just have to look at the count, is outnumber the bad bacteria to influence all the follow bacteria to become good. Then you'll be able to become healthy and happy. Okay. Now, what else can the P Tonic help to do? It helps to increase and maintain the beneficial live microorganism in the gut. Now, how many of them? So I'll elaborate further as I go along. Then, of course, is to strengthen the digestive tract, the barrier against the bad microorganism. Because in every colon, be it the small intestine and large intestine, But I just want you to understand, if you were to actually retake out your colon, actually like the what I call the small intestine and the long intestine, if you're really going to stretch it out, it is actually according to the height. If you by comparing to your height, it's actually 4.5 times. That's how long it is. But every single the wall, okay, we call the wall of the bacteria, it have to be safeguarded. So there must be a lot of barrier to be able to against the invasion of the pathogen. If you were to have a failure to be able to support the gap, what will happen actually? All these bacteria, bad bacteria, the food, the waste food, digested food, heavy metal will actually penetrate into our bloodstream and start affecting our body. Like I said, this is actually how diseases are being developed. Okay. Also, it will help to actually produce a lot of antibiotic. That's only provided that you have a microbiome balance. You improve the digestion, break down our food into a smaller molecule. Even easy for our absorption of the nutrients. This is actually what P Tonic can do. Furthermore, if you want to be healthy, you have to make sure that you want to prevent all the colon-related cancer, be it you talk about constipation, ulcer, gastric pain, hemorrhoid, polyps, okay, tumor. We need to be able to, at all time, ensure that our colon is healthy. So healthy colon also lead to strong and balanced immune system. You will also able to enhance the metabolic rate. Now, please note, if you were to consume the correct probiotics, you're actually able to manage what they call weight management. I mean, actually, if you understand, we don't really encourage people to lose weight. We encourage you to increase your metabolism rate. Okay, if you're able to do so, then you become healthy. Then, of course, with tons of like 100 trillions of all these bacteria in billions, therefore, you have a bunch of soldiers able to help you to cleanse the toxin or the garbage, okay, or the free radical inside your body. This will help to slow your aging and promote, okay, actually prevent endocrine disorder. We call it hormonal imbalance. Okay, there's a lot of people when they have these imbalances, then they put up weight, or they have sleeping quality. They cannot control their emotion. This is all due because we don't have a healthy colon. Now, the unique selling point, if you ask me USP about P Tonic, what's so unique about it? P Tonic is actually in liquid form. That's a start. Okay, and we want to ensure that this is always at all time we maintain the living organism. And how much? There are more than 110 types of effective and potent living organism. We call it the good bacteria inside. If you were to compare with typical probiotic in the market, the most you can see, especially in the America, they have the what they call class A, class B up to, or they call it 5-star, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star for all the way to up to 5 star. At the 5-star, the highest the bacteria type they can discover is no more than 30 types. And yet P Tonic has accomplished by having 110. But if really study about the scientists, how much do we really need? They will tell you in the whole body system, if you want to talk about the potent living organism, we need minimum 600 of them. Then how can we produce so little? Please note, they are not easy produced. We have to do a lot of research, a lot of discovery. In fact, this started in 1980 from Dr. Higa. From the Dr. Higa, he came up with his own health product called EMX. Eventually, it was further developed by us in Malaysia to produce to achieve up to 110. Even Dr. Higa during then only accomplished about 83 types of the potent living organism. Okay, and P Tonic have this high achievement, able to achieve more than 110. Now, the third key point, please note, when your body are really weak, this actually implying that our body into what they call anaerobic environment. What's the difference between aerobic and anaerobic? Anaerobic means actually it doesn't require oxygen. Aerobic require oxygen. Like our body cell, we want to be healthy. Our body at all time must inhale a lot of oxygen to our cell, so that for us to be able to help the cell to become active and healthy. When you are low in oxygen, they call it hypoxia. This is what happens whereby your body becomes deteriorated. Now, but again, why our probiotic has to be anaerobic? Please note, anaerobic means actually you can imagine our probiotics when they are going into our mouth, go through esophagus, go to the stomach in 6 seconds. It doesn't have to be digested. That's a unique point about it, because P Tonic itself is actually maintaining at a very low acidic pH up to 3.8. When it actually go into the stomach, it doesn't go through any digestion at all. It can go straight into the small intestine. In the small intestine, there might be a lot of bad bacteria. That's why it's commonly known as SIBO or SIFO, SIBO or SIFO, small intestine bacteria overgrown, or they call it small intestine fungi overgrown. They are fungus or they are bad bacteria inside. So if you want to understand all these bad bacteria, they don't like to have oxygen. That's why the lower oxygen it is, it will achieve our body to reach out to what they call hypoxia, lack of oxygen. And therefore, we need to have a bunch of soldiers that are able to live inside a low oxygen environment, and yet they are super strong, they're super weapon, they're able to fight against all these invaders, okay, the bad bacteria, so that they're able to, once they achieve the balance, they're able to start producing a lot of antioxidant and anti-aging material for our body cell to appreciate. So anaerobic probiotics are most important. But whereas if you look at other typical product, the probiotic product, it can't tell you whether they're aerobic or anaerobic, because most of the time they do not really able to focus on producing all these anaerobic probiotics. Now, they're highly efficient and natural antioxidant because they itself, through the postbiotic residing inside the liquid itself, they really produce the vitamin K, the B1, B2, B12, B6, and B12 naturally. So please don't, if everybody challenge you, why have to take P Tonic? You just tell them these three key points. I want to elaborate further as well. Like there are more than 110 types of good bacteria. They're in liquid form because they can reside more. Because we are going to constantly increasing the number of this probiotic, the type, the strain. And they are anaerobic. The pH level of the P Tonic is actually at pH 3.8 and highly efficient with a lot of natural antioxidant. And lastly, I want to share with you that P Tonic is not just meant for consumption. It can be meant for external application, which I'll show you afterwards on some of the testimonial. Now, who can drink P Tonic? And to be exact, who needs it? Because it's mandatory that everybody must have adequate of probiotic inside the body. So it works for everybody. Works for everybody means actually from infants all the way to the seniors, elderly people. And the focus actually, we want to focus on children. We want to focus on the pregnant woman. Okay, we want to focus on the elderly people who actually be suffering from pain here and there, or deterioration of the energy, okay, or they have diseases. Person with the chronic sickness, and also for maintenance or prevention. Like I say, P Tonic are meant for everybody, anyone, because please note they are not medicine, they are food-based, okay, essence. And of course, if you want to talk about, you want to be more beautiful, you want to be able to look young and vibrant with youthfulness, then P Tonic will be the ideal choice. Then of course, a lot of people say, if I were to drink a thing, would that be a reaction? We call this a healing crisis. Okay, we term it as a positive reaction. Everything that you do, there's always a reaction. Now, I want you to imagine if you were to buy a second-hand house, be it either for 10 years or even 5 years. Can you tell me that the house immediately is clean? It can be deteriorated here and there. It will accumulate a lot of dust. There'll be a lot of stains sticking onto the wall. You will need to make a lot of effort to be able to clean up. You even have to use a lot of strength to go and scratch away all the stain that stick onto the wall. I hope I'm right to say that. Therefore, when you consume P Tonic, there will always bound to be reaction, provided that you do have some health challenges. Example, your stomach problem like ulcer, you have acid reflux, then what will happen? You might be suffering the pain, giddiness, lack of appetite. If you do have sensitive skin, there will bound to be some itchiness or probably some rashes that she produces. If you have a sinus problem, you will have more thick discharge or the mucus coming out, just like what's happening to me right now. Okay, I'm actually doing detox. That's why there's a lot of thing purging from my lung. High uric acid, then there'll be aching here and there. There'll be pain. What you need to do is just consume more and drink a lot of water. Rheumatoid, okay, you might experience severe pain. Why? Because when you want to do repairing, you have to first of all remove your garbage. The garbage is all residing a lot of bad bacteria. They have to fight the bad bacteria. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of dead body. There's a lot of crystallized uric acid. They need to be able to remove it. Even in the rheumatoid, you have a lot of joint pain. In order to neutralize it, they need to do a lot of detoxification, a lot of rejuvenation. And all this process bound to experience discomfort. And how do you consume it? Normally, we recommend, it depends on cases. Like for my case, I deal with a lot of acute patient with severity, like stage 4 lung cancer, stage 4 cancers. My recommendation will be slightly different from here. But typically, if you do have problem and you want to minimize on your positive effect, unless it's not given a choice. Okay, I normally recommend you go with like 3 to 5 cups a day for the initial start. Hey, for chronic disease, for serious condition, people on long-term medication. Long-term medication implies that you have more than 10 years and above. That's called long-term medication. Your body are what they call filled with a lot of acidities, acidosis, a lot of waste inside the body. Therefore, you need to be able to clear as much toxin as possible. Always remember, P tonic is not just a normal essence, it's also very high energy. When your body starts absorbing stuff with a high energy and they're rejuvenating, there's a tendency that the first priority is to remove or clear away all the toxin within the body. You can't possibly say that I have a very filthy house with a lot of dirt, a lot of stain. I'm going to paint my wall immediately. I'm going to move my furniture into the room. You won't do that. You want to clean it up first. P tonic does the same. You help it to remove all the toxin from the body, help to rejuvenate all the cells, help to redo repairing here and there. Once your body condition is improving and gradually, but of course, the problem still occur. What I would suggest you to do is, normally we suggest you to do is take 2 to 3 times. But for prevention or for maintenance, we just encourage you to take 1 to 2 times. Like for me, I don't have major problem. I basically take 1 cup. Even my father and my mother does the same. They do the same. Okay. So if you want to find as a guideline, we normally encourage you, don't just try 1 bottle, 2 bottles and expect miracle. I want you to have this mindset with a logical thinking. If you were to take 10 years to produce a disease or a sickness or illness, logically it's supposed to take the same amount of time, which is 10 years to recover. But our P tonic is slightly different. It is actually a food-based, also with biotech. Biotech means actually it's bioavailable. It works not just for the human. It can be applicable to plants. It can be applicable to livestock. Of course, you can't possibly use an expensive P tonic to apply to your livestock unless it's actually your pet or your favorite. Okay, you may do so. And how much do you consume? Normally, we ask you to consume 50 ml. It comes with a cup, 50 ml. For kids, 25 ml. For babies, 5 to 7 ml. That will do. I have a kid who delivered naturally. Okay, he just approached 2 years yesterday, and he just consumed about 5 to 10. Okay, daily basis. Now, overall benefit, what can he do? You are able to actually produce keep on producing antibiotic. Okay, the B cell, the T cell, to replace the antibiotic that was prescribed by the medicine, okay, through the medical doctors. You enhance the body natural healing mechanism. You heal fast, improve your skin complexion, strengthening your immunity, prevent cardiovascular disease. You can do that. Speed up the healing process, enhance detoxification, and especially like your heavy metal and toxin, you go with high dosage, you have to remove. It doesn't just remove the what they call the heavy metal. It removes everything that doesn't belong to your body. Highly potent in antioxidant and also helping to be able to cut down on the cancer cell. My fastest case, okay, my fastest case is actually I asked them to measure by what they call inflammation index. We call CRP. Okay, I used to have a cancer patient, stage 4 lung, with high CRP as high as 130 plus. But in 2.5 months time, by consuming 1 bottle a day, of course, plus like drink a lot of water and so forth, inhale hydrogen, eventually it was actually subside and reduced up to less than 12 within 2.5 months time. So that's how powerful P tonic can achieve the result. Strong aging effect, then promote your cell regeneration and rejuvenation, enhance your nutrients absorption, regulate our hormone. Now, these are the benefits of what P tonic can do. And ultimately, excuse me, let me just go to the next slides. And ultimately, these are all the testimonial. Now, imagine I want you to see a diabetic with the food. Okay, it actually got rotten. Then what we do is actually consume P tonic and also spray onto the wound. Then you can see before that, after 3 months, they start to heal. And eventually, it was totally healed. Even all the flesh was actually being brought up. Why? Because P tonic, as with all the good bacteria, like I said, once you are able to have your good bacteria outnumber the bad bacteria, you're able to help influence all the followers to become good, and they start doing a lot of repairing work. Of course, before prior to repairing, you get rid of all the toxin from the cell, like the dead cell. Okay, and they start repairing and then rejuvenate and so forth. Prostate cancer before that, okay, you can look at the reading. It significantly reduces, and what they do actually they consume about 1 bottle a day. Okay, 2 months later and 3 months later, you can see the prostate cancer index. Okay, the marker actually reduces. Eczema. Okay, eczema is actually a reflection about your liver. Means your body not able to your liver not able to produce a clean blood. Now, please don't get me wrong. Our bone marrow produce blood. The blood will be there for 120 days, which is equivalent to 4 months. Every single drop of the blood produced from the bone marrow will live for 120 days. But constantly, please note, 90% of the blood content is water. And therefore, the dirtiness of the water must be filtered by the kidney. And remaining 10% of the blood must be filtered by our liver. But unfortunately, we have been consuming a lot of food that's unhealthy. Like we what they call this trans fat. We eat a lot of refined carbo. We eat a lot of refined water, refined sugar, refined salt, and so forth. We are causing more stress to the liver. You come to the stage whereby majority of the human being, like 1 out of 5, okay, by the scientists, discovered that 1 out of 5 people on Earth, they all are filled with what they call liver fat. They call it non-alcoholic liver fat. But in Malaysia, are worse. Okay, 1 out of 3, we have liver fat. So when the liver not able to cleanse the blood, ultimately they have no choice but to push out through your skin. That's why you develop eczema. Okay, so you can even call it autoimmune issue and so forth. But by consuming the P Tonic, you can see that you recover. Because why? It start cleansing from inside out. Okay, you want to accelerate or expedite the whole healing process, spray onto your skin. You can see fast, speedy recovery. Rheumatoid arthritis, you can see that also significantly change. Like I say, if you really understand the root cause, it's all about free radical. Free radical lead to inflammation. Inflammation will lead into majority of the cell problem and eventually go into disease. What we need to do is like just keep on drinking P Tonic, you're able to do a recovery. Now, this belongs to a student, one of my students' mother, okay, who had diabetics, okay, and then he actually go on to tablets as well as the injection. But one fine day, she just by accident, she injured herself. She cut her finger, the middle finger. And then even if we see the doctor with the steroid, couldn't help. So what I advise her to do is to drink the P Tonic. Other than that, also spray onto the wound. So you can see speedy recovery in 2 weeks' time. Okay, I didn't indicate the timeline. It's 2 weeks. You can see her finger is totally recovered. Now, we just want to prove to you, kids also can drink P Tonic.
Nana, I drink P Tonic.
Now, this is actually the kids on the lower right. You can see this is a baby. Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies, I didn't change to English. Okay, this is the baby that I just named earlier. Mother and father couldn't deliver, couldn't conceive, go through the process of reset. They conceive and deliver this healthy baby. Okay, and she is now 2 years old. But important, this baby was 100% non-medicated child, was delivered from at home, okay, by the father. But more significantly, you can see this is actually the baby that drink P Tonic through the mother. And then at the 47th day, he's already started to lift up his head. Okay, he was able to do so. Okay. Okay. You see, they don't drink just by cup, they drink by bottle because they really enjoy the taste and they love the taste. Okay, so another testimonial aspect. This was happening last year, COVID-19. Okay, COVID-19, he's suffering from after recovering, he suffered from stomach bloated, indigestion, vomiting. But after drinking 12 bottles, each bottle is about 500 ml, all the same, he was totally recovered. Okay, so he was recovered from COVID. That's only after recovering from COVID. He suffered from all the side effects, and eventually all the side effects was suppressed, okay, and dissolved. Okay, another incident as an open wound, 17 stitches, 200. Okay, what he did actually, he consumed 20 ml daily and totally healed in 6 days. Fast healing in 4 days. Okay, just by consuming the P Tonic. Then skin allergy, drink 250 ml daily for 2 months. You can see the skin totally recovered. This is also another sign, something like eczema, but it's more focusing. Like I said, you need to consume internally from inside out. It helps to recover faster. Okay, same thing. You can see that there's a sore. She can recover. Okay, by just drinking 150 ml a day. In 1 week's time, you can see it disappeared. Okay, this one done. Okay, this is actually my daughter. Just want to share with you. She's actually started from young. First started with what you call this propolis. Eventually, when I discovered probiotic, I let her consume probiotic. Of course, at that time we don't have P Tonic. But gradually, I start discovering more and more potent what they call this probiotic with high potency. She was able to become healthy until I can share with you. She's just approaching 18-year-old, and I can use my finger count to share with you how many times she has fall sick. Okay, not many, but more significantly, because I'm focusing a lot of brain management, brain and mind management, she went for the test at the age of 12.4 years, okay, by the authority in America, okay, to assess about her brain competency, her function, her sensory, and so forth. We call it cognitive skill, skill profiling. So eventually, it was actually to my amazement and surprise, her brain was able to process at 99%, because at all time, the probiotic able to help the bloods to be cleansed, to be clean all the time. This is actually my personal one, which I did on the 1st of June, just to share with you. My emphasis is actually on what they call CRP, is to find if I have inflammation, what they call inflammation. It's a measurement of inflammation through the liver. Like I say, liver cleanse the blood on daily basis. The blood that produced by bone marrow will last for 120 days. Therefore, my blood must be cleansed by the liver, because my blood travel all the places on my body. But you can see significantly, I don't have what they call, it's actually near perfect, and I don't have what they call CRP indexing at what they call normal, okay, at normal. So therefore, what I want to share to you, the purpose of having the English session is to educate you what P Tonic is all about. And P Tonic definitely comprises a lot of living organisms inside with more than 110 types, able to pass through the stomach and go straight into your intestine. Okay, and more importantly, it actually don't really bother about whether you're in oxygen or not oxygen, they will survive. And what they really help you to do is by making your colon become healthy. And then with the healthy colon, you're able to release a lot of hydrogen, we call molecular hydrogen, and hormonal, especially like melatonin and serotonin, to increase your immunity. Then when you achieve higher, stronger immunity, that will become a healthier you. So just imagine that we can actually use P Tonic to prevent cancer, autoimmune diseases, inflammation, and the gut problems. Okay, this is all I'd like to share for now. And we will actually move on to the what I call Q&A if you do have any question. But before that, just allow me to disable this sharing.